Commander Zrill stood among the remnants of the battlefield, his gaze hard as he watched his soldiers gather the human prisoners. The Tsar had triumphed decisively, and Zrill felt a sense of duty as he surveyed the fallen and those who remained, shackled and waiting. "Their warriors fought well," remarked Shar, a young officer at Zrill's side, admiration mixed with pity in his voice. "As did ours," Zrill replied, nodding solemnly. "But they have tasted defeat. They know no honor can remain in their survival." Shar hesitated. "Perhaps humans view survival differently, Commander. I've heard things about them. They value life in strange ways." Zrill gave him a sharp look. "Life for its own sake is a pitiful aim, Shar. These humans were warriors. We grant them mercy now, death with dignity. An honorable end is the only worthy escape from defeat." Shar nodded, but unease lingered in his gaze as he glanced at the humans, their expressions shifting from anger to confusion. He could see them speaking quietly to each other, watching the Tsar's soldiers with looks that wavered between defiance and terror. Zrill turned to address the human captives, his voice resolute. "You fought with strength and endurance. We respect that. In accordance with our custom, your defeat shall be honored. There will be no disgrace of captivity." One of the humans, a sergeant, raised his head defiantly. "What do you mean, no disgrace of captivity? You're saying, you're just going to kill us? Like we're worthless?" A murmur rippled through the prisoners. Zrill's brow furrowed. "This is not punishment. It is our way of honoring a worthy adversary. To live defeated is a dishonor beyond repair." Another human prisoner, a woman, called out, her voice desperate. "We don't see it that way. We can survive, rebuild, fight another day. We have families back home waiting for us." Zrill's gaze hardened. "To flee or surrender, such a life is hollow. Survival is nothing without honor, without valor. We grant you mercy from that shame." The sergeant stepped forward despite his chains, anger blazing in his eyes. "Mercy? You call this mercy? We don't want to die. We want to live, to fight, to make it back home. This isn't your choice to make." A wave of discomfort passed through Shar as he listened, an odd sensation gnawing at him as he watched the human soldiers. The strength of their conviction unsettled him. It was unlike anything he had seen. Zrill, however, remained unmoved. "It is done," Zrill declared, his tone final. "Your lives will end with dignity, as befits warriors." A hush fell over the assembled soldiers and captives as the execution order was issued. The human prisoners exchanged glances of silent horror, some whispering desperate farewells, others staring in defiance. As the captives were led away, Shar's gaze lingered on one of the prisoners, a young man who refused to look away, holding his head high, as though trying to defy even death itself. The sight left an uncomfortable chill within Shar, but he pushed it aside, following his commander's lead. Later, as he returned to the barracks, Shar found himself haunted by the humans' faces. Their pleas and fierce words echoed in his mind, as if they were trying to pry open something within him he didn't want to confront. He had seen defeated soldiers before, warriors who had accepted their fate. But the humans, they were different. The way they spoke of life, of hope, of wanting to fight again someday, seemed unbreakable, stronger than the shackles that had bound them. Why would they want to live after defeat? He muttered to himself, staring at his reflection in the darkened barrack window. Ambassador Sarah Clark stepped onto the Tsar homeworld with a determined look, her every move watched closely by Tsar officials and soldiers. Beside her, a few human delegates whispered among themselves, nervous but resolute. This meeting was not just diplomacy, it was the reckoning of a tragedy. Clark's voice was calm but sharp as she addressed Commander Zrill. "We have come to understand that your forces executed captured human soldiers. A violation of everything we hold sacred in wartime. Explain yourself." Zrill straightened, unmoved. "Ambassador, in our culture, warriors who fall in battle find dignity only in an honorable end. To allow a defeated soldier to linger in shame would be cruel. Our actions were meant to show respect, not to offend." Clark's expression didn't soften. Commander, we do not share that view. In our culture, prisoners of war are treated with dignity, with the expectation that they might one day return to their homes, to their families. Executing them without understanding our values? That's inexcusable. The hall grew tense, Tsar officials exchanging glances. Zril's brow furrowed. You suggest it is more respectful to let a warrior live on, knowing his defeat? We sought to spare them that disgrace. Disgrace? Clark's voice grew colder. To us, survival is resilience, even in defeat. Living on after a fall is not shameful, it's strength. Our warriors fight, survive, and rebuild, knowing they may have to fight again. That's our way. Zril seemed genuinely puzzled, as if grasping a foreign concept. You value endurance after defeat, even for warriors? To our people, that endurance and shame is a burden. Death cleanses the stain of defeat, restoring honor. Commander, this isn't about honor in your terms. Our soldiers died needlessly because you assumed we shared your views. But we believe life, even after hardship, is worth fighting for. Every human has a right to return home. Clark's words were firm, her eyes unyielding. A ripple of shock moved through the Tsar assembly. Char, listening quietly nearby, felt a surge of confusion mixed with curiosity. Could it truly be that humans valued survival this much, even in defeat? It seemed almost contradictory to everything he'd been taught, and yet, it held a strange strength. A senior Tsar elder spoke, his voice grave. Ambassador, this misunderstanding was unintentional. Had we known, we might have reconsidered, but your expectations contradict our deepest beliefs. Can we be faulted for following our customs, just as you follow yours? Clark met his gaze with a steady resolve. Respecting your customs doesn't mean allowing injustice toward ours. Your tradition has consequences you clearly did not foresee, consequences we cannot accept. This isn't about fault, it's about understanding and respecting one another's values. The elder was silent, absorbing the rebuke. Zril spoke again, his tone cautious. Your persistence confuses me, Ambassador. We showed mercy as we understand it. Yet you argue that mercy is leaving a soldier to endure the shame of defeat? Wouldn't they suffer more that way? Clark's voice softened, but only slightly. Our people don't see defeat as something permanent. Living on means you have the chance to overcome it. In our eyes, those prisoners still had hope, a purpose. By ending their lives, you robbed them of that chance. The room remained silent as her words settled. Char felt something shift within him, a strange stirring that challenged everything he knew. The concept of hope, after defeat, was not one he had ever considered. To the Tsar, hope was the expectation of a valiant end. Could it be more than that? Zril struggled with the notion, clearly grappling with Clark's perspective. We meant to honor them. How can we reconcile such differences without forsaking what we believe? Clark took a deep breath. By understanding that honor can look different across cultures. We don't ask you to forsake your beliefs but to understand ours. If we're to coexist, respect must be mutual. Life is sacred to us, and our warriors carry a responsibility, not just to themselves, but to everyone they protect. A murmur of contemplation moved through the Tsar delegation. Char, increasingly unsettled yet fascinated, approached Clark afterward, his voice low. You truly believe survival, even after failure, is valuable? She nodded. For us, it's fundamental. We don't judge worth by success or defeat. Life itself is a chance to grow, to learn, to make amends. No one has the right to decide another's fate without that understanding. Char was silent, the weight of her words settling heavily upon him. That evening, Char couldn't shake Clark's words. He paced his quarters, wrestling with the conversation. The Tsar had always revered the honor of an end, but the human idea of survival, of rebuilding even in the face of loss, haunted him. Was there strength in enduring shame to keep living? It contradicted everything he'd known, but he felt compelled to understand. Seeking answers, he found himself in a private chamber where Clark was preparing notes for the next day's talks. Seeing him, she nodded, recognizing the curiosity in his eyes. I don't understand. Char began, hesitant but determined. We've been taught that clinging to life after defeat dishonors the warrior. Yet you say survival is a strength. Why? Clark paused, gathering her thoughts. For us, living is a testament to resilience. Life after hardship is not shameful but inspiring. To survive means there's hope, a chance to change, to grow, to make a difference. Char considered this, his expression troubled. So you're saying that surviving after a fall, after disgrace, is something a warrior should aspire to? She nodded, her gaze intent. In humanity's view, every day we survive is another chance to rise stronger. A soldier who lives can protect those they love, can continue to serve a purpose. It's not about pride or disgrace. It's about fulfilling responsibilities beyond the self. The idea struck him deeply. The Tsar viewed life as a solitary journey to earn individual honor, but here was Clark, describing life as something connected to others, as a duty beyond the individual. The concept stirred him, made him question his own understanding of honor. Clark continued, sensing his internal conflict. When we survive, we honor those who didn't. Every life carries a purpose, a connection. That's why we value the return of our prisoners. They bring stories, knowledge, strength. Even defeated, they become part of something larger than themselves. Char's thoughts whirled. So, survival is more than just existing? Exactly. It's about resilience. A life isn't defined by a single defeat or victory. It's a journey, a chance to change, to make things better, to protect, to give back. For us, death isn't a resolution, it's the end of possibilities. That's why we're here, pushing for understanding. Those soldiers you executed? Each one had a life intertwined with others, with family, friends, their people. Her words brought a strange ache to Char's chest. You speak as though each life is part of a whole, not just an individual seeking glory. Clark's face softened. Yes, precisely. Humans live for each other as much as for themselves. Our warriors know they might face death, but they fight to protect lives, not just for personal honor. That's why their loss is so grievous to us. Char felt a sense of awe mixed with shame. He had thought the executions honorable, a fitting end to a warrior's path. Now, he wondered if he'd misunderstood, if the Tsar tradition was somehow incomplete. Could there be an honor in survival that his people had missed? Trying to grasp this new perspective, he ventured. And when you say a chance to change, you mean even enemies? Clark nodded. Absolutely. Humanity believes that even enemies can grow, can evolve beyond hatred. We've seen it, warriors who once fought become allies when given the chance to change. Death cuts off that chance forever. The weight of this hit Char with stunning clarity. It was as if his entire foundation had shifted, and he was left standing on unfamiliar ground. To us, this idea would be seen as a weakness, a softness. But I see now, there's strength in it. A strength that's different, but maybe no less honorable. Clark studied him thoughtfully. Understanding and compassion can be as powerful as any weapon. Mercy, in our eyes, requires courage. Char nodded slowly. I need time to think on this. You've given me a view I hadn't considered. Perhaps we've overlooked something valuable. As he turned to leave, Clark called after him. Sometimes, to honor our ancestors, we must learn to see the world through new eyes. Questioning tradition isn't betrayal, Char, it's evolution. Her words stayed with him, an echo that only grew louder as he walked away. The next morning, Char stood before the Tsar Council, his heart racing as he prepared to speak. The council chamber was filled with somber faces, each elder watching him with both curiosity and caution. He had never before addressed them with a matter of such magnitude, but he knew he had to challenge tradition in a way that might risk his status, or worse, his honor. Taking a steadying breath, he began. Honored Council, I come before you to propose a new way of considering our dealings with humanity. The executions of their prisoners have revealed a conflict not only of culture but of understanding. I ask that we reconsider our stance on prisoners of war, especially human ones. A murmur of surprise passed through the council members, but he pressed on. I have learned from the human ambassador that their view of survival, even in defeat, is not weakness but resilience. To live on, to continue fighting for others, holds a strength we may have undervalued. An elder raised his brow, skepticism clear in his voice. You suggest, Shar, that we embrace a weakness of will? That we forsake our honorable end to accommodate the values of an alien race? No, Shar replied, his voice resolute. I am not asking that we abandon our honor. I ask that we expand our definition of it. Humans believe that a warrior who survives is not shamed but given a chance to grow, to evolve, to protect others. There is strength in survival, in enduring despite defeat. I have seen it in them. The council exchanged wary glances. Another elder spoke up, her voice laced with doubt. You would have us treat these captives as more than vanquished foes? To spare them is to deny them the honor of an end. Shar nodded respectfully. Yes, according to our beliefs. But to them, an end is not an honor, it is a loss, a severance from all they hold dear. The humans seek to return, to continue their duties to family, to community. Perhaps, in sparing their lives, we may discover a path that does not sacrifice honor but redefines it. The council chamber fell silent as his words settled. Shar could feel the weight of tradition pressing against him, the resistance in their gazes. Still, he felt compelled to go on, inspired by the strength he'd glimpsed in the human perspective. They do not live for themselves alone, he continued. Their survival is bound to the lives of others. They believe in protecting, in standing by those they care for. I've come to understand that even in captivity, even in what we consider dishonor, they hold fast to something greater than pride. A senior council member shook his head, his voice thick with disapproval. Shar, we are Tsar. Our honor demands an end in the face of defeat. We cannot simply adopt an alien concept because it stirs our curiosity. Shar looked directly at the elder. With respect, perhaps that is what honor requires of us now, the courage to learn from those we may have underestimated. Humans do not seek to erase our ways. They wish only for us to understand that their way is different, yet no less worthy. The council remained silent, each member weighing his words carefully. Shar felt the tension, the reluctance to challenge tradition. But he sensed a faint shift in their expressions, a softening, a curiosity beneath the skepticism. He decided to share one last thought. When a warrior dies, his influence ends. But if he survives, he can teach, he can lead, he can change the course of history. Humans honor their ancestors not only by following tradition but by growing beyond it. They call this growth evolution. We, too, could benefit from understanding this. One elder leaned forward, studying him thoughtfully. You have spoken of expanding honor. And yet, our customs have held strong for generations. Why should we forsake them now? Shar met his gaze with unflinching conviction. Not forsake, honored elder. Strengthen. Our honor has always served to protect the Tsar. If understanding humanity's resilience makes us stronger, if sparing their lives deepens our wisdom, then we do not forsake our ways, we deepen them. A hush fell over the council as his words lingered in the air. Slowly, a few council members exchanged thoughtful looks, considering his proposal. The senior council member, who had been among the most doubtful, finally spoke again, his tone more tempered. Perhaps there is merit in exploring this evolution. If it may indeed strengthen us, then let us not turn away blindly. But no, Shar, this path you propose is fraught with risk. Shar nodded. I understand. But I believe that through understanding, we gain strength. Our actions with humanity could mark the beginning of a new era for the Tsar. After a pause, the council elder finally spoke, his voice filled with a reluctant respect. Then let it be so. We shall sign an agreement that ensures human prisoners may live, out of respect for their own values. This is a compromise, not a concession. In sparing them, we honor both their beliefs and our own desire to grow. Shar's heart surged with pride and relief. Thank you, honored council. I am certain this decision will lead to a stronger, wiser Tsar. In the days that followed, Shar put his thoughts to writing, crafting a treatise on honor and resilience, blending Tsar values with the lessons he'd learned from humanity. Titled, Warriors of compassion. It became a profound reflection on the potential for honor to embrace resilience and understanding. And as the treaty was signed between humanity and the Tsar, Char felt an unspoken bond with Ambassador Clark, the human diplomat who had challenged him to see honor in a new way. Both species had taken a step toward peace, a peace born not of conquest but of mutual respect.